All right, the dust is now settled from Anthony Joshua Francis Ngannou, which happened on Friday. Now, Ngannou in that fight, a lot of people actually when they were doing the ring walks, the zone did their little fan vote, which you do on the app, and the majority, more than 50%, were picking Ngannou to win the fight. Now, I would imagine that would primarily be MMA fans who are tuning in. You had people there who were giving Ngannou a real chance, and this is coming off the back of the performance he put in over Tyson Fury. Now, when I look at that Tyson Fury performance, and I guess this is for the whole of boxing, not just Ngannou, in general, when someone, and you hear fighters say this, that even in defeat, you win. What they mean by that is that there are fighters who are brought in, whether it be Francis Ngannou or whether it be on a domestic level show in the York Hall or the Copper Box, somewhere like that, on a Queensbury Boxer Eddie Hearn show, or maybe even in a smaller card. There are always fighters who are brought in and they're not expected to win. Now, the fighter will go in obviously expecting to win, because if you go in with a defeatist mindset, well, good luck trying to win. But they go in and maybe they do lose. Maybe they do go in, they give a good account of themselves, but it's ultimately not enough. Maybe they just didn't turn up on the night, maybe they didn't have adequate preparation, maybe they're just not good enough. But even in defeat, they gain something from it. You could say it's experience, but it's not just experience. The promoter is looking at that fighter and he's thinking, oh wow, I wanted my prospect to win, or I wanted my fighter to win, and yeah, he did, but he had a lot of problems in there, and it's not necessarily that my fighter isn't as good as I thought he was. That guy in there, he did well. And off the back of that, you get more fights, you get more paydays. Again, granted, you're being looked at as you are being brought in as the away fighter, but it's helping you out. It's giving you paydays, it's giving you chances, and eventually you would hope that on one of those chances you can come good and you can get the win. It's like that throughout the course of boxing, not just that, what Ngannou did. It happens throughout it. Then you have the opposite, where you do bring someone in, and maybe you do bring them in the hope that they turn up on fight night, in the hope that, okay, my guy is going to win, but I expect him to work for the win. I want to see, elements to his game. I want to see X, Y, and Z. And the opponent comes in, and he gives it all this, in the build-up, oh, I'm here, I'm ready to win, I can't wait, this is a chance to showcase my talent, etc., etc., etc. And they go in there, round one, and they're looking for a place to lie down. They don't even try. And with that, a promoter is going to look at that fighter and think, however much I'm paying you, it's too much. But there's your paycheck, but don't think I'm going to be calling you again. So they're losing, both have lost, but one of them is giving a good account of himself, and he's going to get paydays off the back of that. He's going to get further opportunities. He's going to learn something. Whereas the other guy just came in and was like, yeah, I gave it all this, but I just wanted the money. Well, good luck. You're getting the one payday. You're not going to get another one. Not that it's even probably a big payday if it's on a domestic level show or something like that. But good luck with that. So even in defeat, you can get something off the back of that. And that's what Ngannou did with Tyson Fury. He went in there, and myself included, we all expected, I'm sure there was, the MMA contingency who, were thinking, no, Ngannou can do X, Y, and Z. Well, he went in there against Tyson Fury. He gave a good account of himself. A lot of people felt he won the fight. I wasn't one of them. But he dropped Tyson Fury. He definitely won rounds, bashed Tyson Fury's face up a little bit. So much so that he had to push back the date with Alexander Usyk from December to February. So he gave a good account of himself even in defeat. Now, after that fight, myself and several others were saying, okay, well, what will Ngannou do in boxing next? Because obviously it wasn't a foregone conclusion he was going to fight Anthony Joshua. The talk was, and it was signed, that Joshua was going to fight Wilder. If Wilder had beaten Parker on the day of reckoning, we'd be talking about the fallout from Joshua versus Wilder, and that would have been interesting. It wasn't looking like that he was going to fight Anthony Joshua. Was calling for the Tyson Fury rematch. People like me saying, okay, well, how would he do against someone like a Carlos Takam? An ancient Luis Ortiz, even a Dylan White, if he was allowed to fight. At the time, he was, having his issues. He'd only just tested positive in the previous August. So we kind of looked, okay, well, where does he filter in the heavyweight division? Is he a top 15? Is he a top 10? Is he a top 20? Where exactly is he? Then it gets announced that he's going to fight Anthony Joshua, and you're kind of thinking, okay, what does the Fury fight really tell us? Is it just that Fury really didn't train, didn't do his adequate preparation, and that Ngannou kind of got a little bit lucky with that, or is Ngannou a lot better than we give him credit for, and actually he's missing out? Because you can see that there is a little bit of talent there in Ngannou, but it's not been refined. Obviously, he spent a decade in mixed martial arts, and he's in the wrong side of 30 now. So how much can you add to his game at this point? But you looked and you thought, okay, bit of power there, physical strength, things that you think could offset Joshua. But fundamentally, I said at the start, Joshua should win this fight. He should have the fight that Fury had, or that Fury should have had, and he did. He knocked Ngannou down in the first round, dropped him again in the second, and then absolute massive KO. And it was a bad KO as well, because Ngannou's head hit the canvas, the back of his head. So I'd say there's a concussion there, more than likely. He's going to be feeling that for many a week after. And with that performance against Tyson Fury is pretty much forgotten after that. And that's what I mean by you can gain a lot in victory, or you can gain a lot losing if you give a really good account of yourself and you make a case for it. You can get another payday after it. After that performance right there, I would imagine His Excellence Turki Al Sheikh is not going to be looking at Ngannou, maybe in UFC or PFL, but in terms of Queensberry boxing, no. I would imagine not. And personally, for me, after that, I really don't have much of an interest now in seeing Ngannou after that, because fundamentally, he just doesn't have it, at the top level. If you were talking about Francis Ngannou against the Mark Demori, against an Arnold Jajai, against, a Kamil Sakolowski, the kind of journeyman, even though some of them don't have journeyman records, but those kind of level fighters. If you're talking about them, then yeah, go right ahead and you probably beat them. In fact, you definitely would. But in terms of a top heavyweight, even if you're talking about a top 20 heavyweight, this guy, like Daniel Dubois, Martin Bakole, Filip Hrgovic, Zhang, Parker, Joyce, etc., 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 I would pick them all to do a similar job, quite frankly, especially after that knockout to Francis Ngannou. And that knockout was so devastating. It's a knockout like that has repercussions moving forward, neurologically, and it will take it out. Even if Francis Ngannou could have taken a decent shot prior, that's the kind of knockout that will dent the chin moving forward. So for me, in the sport of boxing, I'd rather see just no more Ngannou. I like his story. I like what he's been able to, come from, where he's come from, leaving Cameroon, going to France, and now he's had 2 massive paydays. And I'm glad when I see fighters get paydays like that. As Ade says, get in, get rich, and get out. Basically, he's got in, he's got rich, and I think now he needs to get out, because he's talking about, he wanted Fury, he fought Fury, he wanted Joshua, he fought Joshua, wants Wilder. No, you don't want Wilder. And you don't really want to keep boxing, really. You have that PFL deal. Go down that road. Boxing. The crossover fights are what they are. They're gimmick fights. A guy in mixed martial arts is not going to come in to boxing, certainly at the highest level. They can come in at a low level. They can start out maybe English level, see how they get on. But they're not going to come in at the highest level and trouble any of these guys. The same way that, you people like Tyson Fury saying, we could do it in the octagon. Tyson Fury could go into the octagon and he would last all of 20 seconds against an Ngannou, a John Jones, people like that. It wouldn't even be competitive, because it's a different form of martial art. It's a different combat. It's a different combat sport altogether. Striking is part of MMA, but it's not the be all and end all. I could see these guys in MMA, if they did a crossover where a boxer goes in, take him to the ground, boom, you're done. Tap out. Or boom, it's different. And it's the same way with these boxers coming in to fight. Boxing, Queensberry rules. With Mayweather and McGregor, I maintain now, and I always maintain, that fight, Floyd let that fight go rounds. He could have finished McGregor if he wanted to in the first round, if he really wanted to, because the gulf was so much there. And they really had to sell the hell out of that fight. And they did a good job on it, quite frankly, because it did great numbers on pay-per-view, 4-something million pay-per-view buys, second only between Floyd and Pacquiao. But that right there is another example of a gimmick fight. And I don't really want to see any more gimmick fights, quite frankly. And I certainly don't want to see Ngannou back in a boxing ring under Queensberry rules. Certainly at the highest level after that knockout. So a bit of a long-winded one, but that's my thoughts. Ngannou in boxing, nah, no more. In terms of Joshua, We'll talk about him in a separate video, but I'll leave it there, people. I hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And lads, as always, thank you for all the support. I will talk to you. Peace. You know, boxing today, it seems like there's news breaking every single day. There's fights being announced almost every day. Big fights at that. Boxing's in a good place. And sometimes, I don't know about you guys, but I find it a little bit difficult at times just to stay on top of everything, between checking Twitter, checking boxing scene, going on BoxRec to see if there's anything announced. There's a lot to look for. There's a lot of platforms you need to go on. And if you look there on screen, you'll see today's sponsors, Boxing Showtimes. They've made an app that does it all for you. Look at that on screen. It shows you where you can get tickets. It gives you all the latest news. It gives you the tail of the tape. It gives you all the card details. It's going to give you details about Fury Usyk. It's going to give you details about Joshua Ngannou. It's also going to have a lot more little things thrown in there as well. The link is in the comment section. It's going to be pinned on this video and more besides soon enough. And not only that, in the comment section, there's also going to be a link, a G-Man promo, which means you can access a little bit more without ads. Now that, to quote Eddie Hearn, is a game changer. Now let's crack on with the video.